Once upon a time, in the big, impenetrable and secret forest called Ka, lived the Kiowas. They lived very happily, enjoying all the richness, abundance and pleasure of the forest. The chief of the tribe, called Morobishaba, was well known for being very wise and generous. He had a lovely daughter, Amana, who was married to the strongest warrior of Ka. His name was Aram. They were happily married and loved each other from the deepest places in their hearts. However, their lives were not complete. They did not have a child. After performing without success all the rituals taught by the women in the tribe, Amana decided to consult the wisest of the wise men in Ka, the Page. He lived far away from the tribe in a suioka, a house far away from all other houses. Aram and Amana had to travel for many days and nights to reach his secret house. And, finally, after an exhausting journey, they found the Page's suioka at the top of the tallest mountain in Ka. They were both so nervous and exhausted when they met Page, the wise man, that they could barely tell him the reason why they were there. Page was known for being very good and generous, the wisest of the wise. However, it was also well known that he would only concede special requests in very special cases, as he believed everyone had the power within themselves to find the path to solve their own problems, once they were able to open the door to their own heart. After hearing Amana's and Aram's story, Page closed his eyes and remained in silence for a while. Amana and Aram were anxious, holding their hands without knowing if Page was going to grant them this miracle, the miracle to have a child. But Amana and Aram were special people. They had lived life honouring their family, relatives and friends and their culture and traditions. They had always been very good children to their parents. They always took their responsibilities very seriously, and they were always ready to help those less privileged. After the silence, which seemed to last an eternity, Page opened his eyes and looked carefully at them, broke into a smile, and in a stern voice said, "Amana, your name means rain. Aram, your name means sun. There will come a day when the rain and the sun will occur at the same time. On that day, a colourful arch will appear in the sky. On that day, you both will have to follow this arch, and at the end of this arch, there will be a big pot. And inside this pot, you will find your desired child. This child is to be called Kabiko Depot, which means rainbow. This child is to bring love, compassion, understanding and tolerance to you and the other lives he will touch. This child is to be called Kabiko Depot, or simply Kabiko. He will be a rainbow, and like a rainbow, he will be colourful and joyful, representing all the different races in the world. Like a rainbow, he will be able to appear in all places around the world and will encounter many cultures. And like a rainbow, he will be admired, cherished, and loved as every child should be. And your mission as parents will be to teach Kabiko to respect, love, and care for people, animals, and every living creature in nature, to educate Kabiko that the real value of our journey in this world is to find happiness within ourselves and be grateful for God's given gift of life. Amana and Aram had no words to express their happiness to the Grand Page. They gave their word and commitment to do as they were told, and they would keep their promise until the day Votu, the wind, would take their last breath away. They were then dismissed and made their way back to their own tribe. They couldn't wait to tell their parents the good news about Kabiko. They took to the road in silence. Each of them was anxious, wondering when was going to be the day when the rain and sun would appear at the same time for them to follow the rainbow and find their precious Kabiko. Was that going to take too long? They wondered without daring to ask each other. They kept walking in silence and started praying. As if they couldn't hold in any more all the emotion coming from their hearts, they looked at each other and said at the same time, "I hope it doesn't take too long." At the moment they said that, Tupin, the god of all the gods, heard their prayers, and with a big thunderstorm, which sounded like the roar of a huge jaguarete, the biggest jaguar of the forest, a furious rain started. Amana and Aram tried to protect themselves under a tree, but the rain was so strong and the wind so powerful that their efforts were in vain. They ran away, trying to find a safe place where they could escape from the storm. The sky became pitch black, and the only light was given by the lightning when hitting the ground. They ran and ran non-stop. They were exhausted, completely wet, but kept on running. All of a sudden, they reached a valley, and what a surprise! They couldn't believe the beauty of such a valley. Even with the thunderstorm, the rain, the lightning, the valley was magnificent, the most beautiful they had ever seen. They stopped to contemplate it. Fascinated by its majesty, they ignored the storm completely. Then, miraculously, the clouds started opening, and a beautiful blue sky cleared, and with it stood the most amazing and beautiful arch of the most splendid bright colours. Without thinking twice, they grasped each other by their hands and ran towards the end of the arch. They can't recall how long they ran, they just couldn't stop, with their hearts pounding, thinking of Kabiko Depot, their baby, their so longed-for child, their Kabiko. They arrived at the end of the arch almost breathless. They found the place full of colourful flowers and animals of all species, as if they all had been waiting for them. They stopped without knowing where to go. They couldn't see any pot, but then the animals started moving aside, opening a path for them to walk through. They held hands again. Their hearts beat so fast and loud that they could even hear them. As they walked along the path, each animal bowed to them in reverence. They were surprised, but they felt loved and connected to each of them. When they finally reached the end of the line of animals, they saw a beautiful golden-coloured pot, and inside, there he was, their child, their Kabiko, smiling at them. They were full of joy and happiness when they held Kabiko in their arms for the first time. All the animals cheered them, and all sorts of sounds of happiness echoed throughout the forest, reaching even the most distant villages on the planet. And in that moment, every living being in their world knew that Tupin, the god of the gods, had blessed them once again.